Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Mobile Theatre. My name's Matt. I'm going to be hosting the sessions for you today. I work for a company called Sitecore. We're sponsoring this theatre, and we also have a rather unassuming stand just behind you. So if you'd like to know a little bit more about us, please pop over and say hello. First up for you this morning, we have Henric Ehrenblad. Henric is founder of Widespace and is going to be talking to us today about mobile advertising, or more specifically, how effective mobile advertising starts with the consumer. So welcome, Henric, and over to you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Perfect. So this is basically what happened when we went out to try funding for our company about 4 years ago. A very insightful 55-year-old male who knew how the world works told us this. Needless to say, we didn't get any money from him. He's no longer in venture capital, but we're still in business. So things have gone the right way. Just a few short... So enough bragging about our company. Is there an airplane landing over there somewhere? I'm going to talk a little bit about human behaviors and the implications of mobile advertising. Just to quickly say who we are. We're a Swedish-started company, started 2007. We launched in the UK only a couple of months ago. And I think we're about 122 people right now, but we're adding 1 or 2 people per week, so we're a fast-growing company. I'm going to talk a little bit about the natural change of things that are happening, what we do and how we do things, and what the implications are in mobile advertising. Attention span, boredom, and addiction, those are 3 sort of key things that go on in advertising, and especially on mobile. I'm sure a few of you recognize some of these behaviors.
Really? It's time for a phone to save us from our phones.
So that's the Microsoft ad for launching their new phone. But the point of that is to show we use it everywhere. And we believe that in 5 years' time, 5 or 6 years' time, 70% of media consumption will be in mobile and in tablets. Basically, the PC will disappear. And also, as mobile, we also include glasses and watches and those type of things. Just to highlight, 2.7 hours per day now, the Americans. The video I first showed was 2.3 hours. Now it's 2.7 hours for Americans to spend on their smartphones every day, which has gone way past the web. But the most important thing, what we're going to talk about here today, is what is natural, the natural behavior of people. And when you're in it, it kind of feels normal, but when you're looking at it from the outside, it may look a little bit weird sometimes. How many of you would do this? How many of you have scanned a QR code? How many of you would scan this QR code? I guess sometimes certain types of brands or products may not be appropriate for that particular marketing kind of gimmick. This is a friend of mine in Sweden, it freely translated. A super deal on a gym, but it doesn't matter. He didn't want it, he didn't expect it, he got it out of the blue. And even if he had given them 50% discount on a car, he still didn't want it because it's very, very intrusive. So there are certain types of things that you can do in advertising in mobile that are well above the line, stepping well above the line. And I think it's very important to keep that in mind in any advertising that you do, but even more so in mobile. So how to get to effective mobile advertising? You need to start with how people use the phone, what they do and what they don't do, and how they react in different things. So there are a couple of major things that we do in mobile that are very, very conducive for advertising. Well, the first thing is we are bored. The second thing we are addicted. And just to highlight that, here's a US study where they say 9% of smartphone users have used their phone during sex, 12% in the shower, 19% in the church. There are a lot of different ways to use mobile that tend to drive behavior well beyond what anybody had anticipated. The interesting thing is for us who work in mobile advertising is that these are all opportunities to do some advertising. Always opportunities to make sure that you get your message across, as long as you don't step over that line. The other side of, I guess the previous slide really is about addiction. If you're doing it while you're in the shower, you're probably addicted. You're probably not bored. But 48% of people that use mobile do it because they're bored. You have 2 stops to go on the subway station. You got your friend taking a little longer than he should, showing up for your dinner date. So 48% of people claim that they do it because they're bored or they're trying to kill time. And this is corroborated by this evidence here, that if you compare the gray line, which is the normal web, which is basically you get to work, you're using your PC, it's a little less during lunch, a little bit more in the afternoon, and then it sort of tapers off. Mobile is by far the highest during the commute hours, during the lunchtime, during the commute home, and right before you go to bed. Those are the opportunities where you have those micro breaks, where you're bored, you're waiting for somebody, you're waiting for something, or you're in a seminar like that, and right now I can see at least 3 people using their cell phones while I do this speech. 4 on a group of 25. And what do they do when they have these micro breaks? Well, this is a US study. It's a little bit less for Europeans when it comes to games. But it's more than 40% of times that you pick up the phone, it's on games. Social networking, I think every 7th time a person picks up the phone, it's Facebook. But you also have other social networks. News and stuff like that is very, very low. Again, this is the US market. It's considerably higher on the news section here in the European markets. The interesting thing about mobile, it doesn't just take from the other times. It also adds an additional 44 minutes of the media day. So the media day is now 44 minutes longer than it was a few years ago. A lot of people do it while they're watching TV. And some people say, well, mobile is second screen. We consider this as a bigger screen. Well, first of all, you're sitting much closer to it. So effectively, it's actually a larger screen than the TV very often. But the interesting thing is what happens during an ad break. And this is what we did with the media agency Karat and Mindshare in Sweden, where we look at our traffic and we see the major commercial channel in Sweden. We have a very homogeneous group of people in Sweden, so we can sort of track everybody watches the same commercial channel on Friday nights and Saturday nights. And on Friday nights and Saturday nights, as soon as the ad break comes on, within 10 seconds, our traffic in our network goes up by 10%. So it goes up according to each TV commercial, like clockwork. So what are people doing when they're watching TV and they're watching a TV ad? Well, they're picking up their phone. 86% of people do this. More women than men do this. I don't know if it's a multitasking thing or... But it's also important to note that one media isn't necessarily better than the other. If you're doing it on TV, well, why not just complement that with mobile at the same time? Very, very popular product that we do in most of our markets. And then back to the boredom fact. Here's a SAS ad sort of highlighting what they did or how we behave. So again, a lot of the stuff that we do is about killing time. And on that note, gaming is huge. And when we speak to advertisers, they say, well, I don't just want to reach the kids. I want to reach my particular age group and that kind of thing. Who has played Angry Birds here? Who's played Ruzzle, it's called now, this game. It's the fastest growing game in the world right now. It's like Boggle, but on iPhone. Words with Friends or Word Feud, kind of the same thing. Lots of games that we see are actually a very, very good audience for advertisers. And we work a lot with these guys, a Norwegian company, and we found that 57% are women, and the main group is between 30 and 45, and the typical user is 38 years old and female. So gaming is certainly not about just the kids. It's certainly a very, very large group, people like us. I'm going to show a little bit about mobile ad formats and campaign examples, but before I do, I want to highlight one study on human behavior again. This was done in 2000, where they measure our attention span looking at a web page. And we have 12 seconds before people lose interest looking at a web page. That number is now, in 2012, gone down to 8 seconds. That's how much time you have before, on a normal web page, before people lose interest. This is slightly less than a goldfish, which apparently has 9 seconds of attention span. So this means that any ad format that you do, any mobile page, which is considerably smaller than a web page, needs to be even more condensed, even more engaging and even more importantly, get people excited in no time. Here are some of the ad formats that we work with where you interactively, directly in the ad itself can play a game, you can swipe things, you can add things to your calendar so that there's no waiting, there's no clicking, going to another page, that kind of stuff. Examples of what that looks like is that you can automatically swipe these things or you can swipe them personally just to use existing ad material without a landing page. You don't need anything else to get on mobile, but you want to make sure that it's swipeable, touchable, and at least interactive of some sort. Of course, you can mix and match and create your awful creations of mixed kind of clothing. Here, fashion industry is one of our biggest segments of advertisers. I can't tell what looks good and what doesn't, but I'm sure you can. Of course, you have accelerometers built in, which means that any banner comes alive while you keep it in your hand, so it's not just a blinking piece of graphic or a static piece of graphic. It's actually very engaging. Doesn't need to be particularly complicated. Here's a media companies where we work with, in this case, a TV channel that wanted to launch Top Model, a Swedish TV show. I'm sure you have it here as well. You click on the banner, get a reminder right before this starts, and it automatically adds to your calendar, and then 15 minutes or 20 minutes before, it reminds you, oh, by the way, on Channel 3, in 20 minutes, this show will start season premiere. Oh, and by the way, don't forget to swing by 7-Eleven for a bag of crisps, that kind of stuff. And of course, you can take existing material and just have animated banners that when you click on them, it turns into video, that kind of thing. You don't want to roll a normal video in a normal news paper automatically. Some examples and campaign measurements that we've done is that here's one example of when you actually run a campaign in a specific game and really play on the fact that do you suck at these kind of games? And in this case, this was the Swedish lottery. We had a 7.78% click-through rate on that button there. You could skip this ad, you can click elsewhere, but that particular button had almost 8% click-through rates. Another thing that Apple launched a couple of years ago was a passbook where in one click it shows you here's the offer. But you have to make a decision. Do you want to add this offer to your phone? So it's in Swedish, unfortunately. It says add to my phone. And then as soon as you come within 100 yards of a McDonald's, it reminds you, hey, you have a coupon for McDonald's. It's within 100 yards from you. Click here for the nearest map or click here to display the coupon. And in our case, when we ran this, out of the 56,000 people that clicked on that, 51,000 added this to their phone. So it's not accidental clicks that, oh, I accidentally clicked on a banner. People actually do take the second step and add this to their phone. Here's another very interactive in-between turns on games, for instance. You can do scratch tickets right away. Instead of moving to another page, you know that you can get excited about it. It's a very popular game, or a lottery ticket in Sweden. And 3.6% clicked or scratched this ticket. And then 5.8% clicked on it to go to enroll or register or buy a ticket. Another thing which is very interesting, which is touching on how the creative stuff is very important. Here is the same advertiser that has a yellow ad and a blue ad. Unfortunately, we can't tell what is the reason that the yellow ad has 70 or 4.26% click-through and this one only 0.73. Remember, this is still somewhere between 10 and 50 times higher than the web anyway, so it's still considerably better. But this one had considerably higher click-through rate. Is it because it's yellow? Is it because it's 70% discount? Is it because it's a different part of the year? We're not really sure, but that's the kind of stuff that you need to check when you run campaigns. So run a lot of different creatives, find out what works. In our case, we let our algorithms pick the ones that generate the more clicks automatically. Here's an example of, or a collection of advertisers. The travel company SAS is the Swedish airline, or Scandinavian Airlines, and Volkswagen, you know, of course. On average, their campaigns have a click-through rate of 1%, which according to them is 5 to 15 times better than the web. And on average, the dwell time on their landing pages was almost a minute, which is actually better than the web. Again, this highlights the fact that we do have time to kill, and we do have time to waste, so that's a good thing. Not just humans use apps, so we have new target groups.
The app has 3 games designed to stimulate and entertain your kitties. And unlike other cat apps, it also has an automatic boredom shuffling system. The app is part of a university charity project. The best part is you can download it for free. It's called the Affection Collection.
I am so getting that. Oh, it's adorable. The only question I have.
Well, the question is, will we start advertising different cheeses or cat food? I don't know. So I wanted to finish up with the fact that it's a natural change and it's moving forward, and we can either go the boredom track or the addiction track or just the utility track. But it's also a more effective advertising medium than the web. And be entertaining, because we want to kill boredom, and there's lots of engagement opportunities, so use them. And also, with a shorter attention span than goldfish, make sure that you're very quick in capturing the excitement of the consumer. So be fast. And even kittens have gone mobile. So thank you.
Thank you, Henric. We've got a couple of minutes. Does anyone have any questions for Henric? One at the back.
So a lot of the creatives that we saw, I assume, were mobile web creative?
Everything is either mobile web or mobile app.
So the creatives that we saw there could be used in apps as well?
Oh, most of them are actually in apps here.
Okay.
Thank you. Does anybody else have a question? No? Okay. Well, I think Henric will be here for a few minutes. He's got a couple of members of his team as well, so if you want to ask a question privately or want any more information, please find these guys out. Let's just give Henric another round of applause. Thank you very much.
Thank you.